Hey, and welcome to a Chicago Beer Pass beer review. These go up on YouTube, and our camera died. So here we are, no video for this review. It's sad.
Perhaps.
So on the episode recently, I called this beer Papers.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
A session barley wine. So
3% session barley wine.
I don't understand, how is a barley wine at 3.5%, but
That's because it says on the can that would you say a session barley wine is similar to an English mild? Perhaps. And this is a collaboration between Begyle and Alarmist. And when I ran into Kevin at Beer Under Glass at Union Station, he said you can call beers whatever you want. So calling it a session barley wine when really it's a mild ale.
it reminds me of Guinness is a stout, but it's only like 5%. And then what is it? Off Color had a surf stout collab with McKellar when they first debuted, and it was only 3.5%.
Okay.
So I mean, we talked about the evening Kolsch.
Right.
So
But I thought a session barley wine would be like a small beer version of the barley wine. Like you brew the barley wine, then you take the grains or the spent grain and brew it again. Go through it.
yeah, because it was so big the first time that you'd get another beer if you ran it through again.
Right.
Like a true small beer in the truest sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't see a lot of small beers. We did have that one from Half Acre a while ago. So I thought that's what they were doing, but no, they just decided to make a mild ale with perhaps some barley wine similarities.
Maybe the same yeast that you would use in your barley wine typically. Because that was the microphone thing with Goose. Like they got to use Goose's yeast strain to make this barley wine.
Yeah.
And Goose's yeast strain was just basically an English style ale yeast.
Because does this, as someone who loves barley wines, as Nick does,
Barley wine is life.
what does this have anything that you would think of a barley wine?
Well, it's a bit nutty. And when you think barley wines, you think candy flavors, you think, I don't know, raisins, you think, what else am I trying to say? You think just kind of like fruit syrup type of flavors.
Okay.
Those kind of things you think about. You don't get those things here. You get a bit of a nuttiness. You get a bit of effervescence at the 3.3%.
Right.
But do you get other barley wine characteristics? I don't know.
Maybe the aroma, but I don't know. It's like
I'm thinking with barley wines, you want a little bit of fig. You want a little bit of I'm trying to think what else would I kind of think of like in a barley wine. You want it to be just kind of if it's hoppy at all, you just want it to be kind of like an aged hop kind of presence on the nose.
yeah.
Right? And then you just want it to be just barley wine, sweet barley wine goodness.
Right. So this is really an English mild, and at 3.3%, that is low.
That's a little beer.
Like this Kolsch, I keep calling it Kolsch. This creamy ale we're drinking from Begyle, Picnic Island, 4.2, and that feels low. 3, what is this, a kombucha?
That's funny. I do think they pack a lot of flavor in the 3.3. I do give them credit for that.
Yeah, you could almost argue it tastes like a watered down barley wine,
Almost like a non-alcoholic barley wine.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin during Beer in the Glass, he said I think they're going to brew at Begyle or now at Alarmist, because this one came out at Begyle. At Alarmist, they're going to do like an imperial mild, but it will really be a barley wine.
These guys are nuts. But I do think it's important to highlight, naming of things, right? Because, we all have heard of a white IPA, but that's really just a Belgian wit. Or there was another one.
or even the session IPA thing. It's like this is just this is American Pale Ale, which an American Pale Ale is just an IPA, really, right?
It's like a 5% IPA.
So what's a session? Why isn't a session IPA American Pale Ale?
Yeah.
And what is a Pale Ale then, if not an IPA like that?
Well, for what is a pale ale if not an IPA that hasn't, you know? Hey, but Pipeworks had a white stout, and they found some documentation that said, hey, stouts don't have to be dark. Mm-hmm. So they came out with a, hey man, my beverage is here, like a white Russian inspired stout, kind of inspired by the Big Lebowski. Okay. Yeah. But it was a white stout, and it was based on this idea that, hey, these beers have a history outside of what you know them to be. These beer names, Barleywine, stout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking to other people recently about like the science of all the beer stuff, the flavors you're getting out of some of these hops, and the things you can do with yeast now. You're seeing a lot of experimentation, and a hazy beer doesn't have to be what we've thought of a hazy beer, and an IPA doesn't. It could have the hazy taste, but be a pale ale at this point.
Yeah.
And so they're getting very good at. I don't know. Look at this fucking cream ale. It's a lager or it's basically in a lager.
Right. It's a pale ale's answer.
Americans' answer to lagers was like, screw these European breweries, we'll make ourselves an ale.
And then, yeah, it's such a weird state of things. It's so true, though.
But yeah, this perhaps from Begyle and Alarmist. It's nice. I don't know. I feel like it would probably be great with like dinner.
I like it, and that's a very good call because you can't drink a lot of hazies with dinner.
Yeah.
In fact, hazies have low drinkability, and they don't never pair with fucking dinner. So I'd bring this to the BYOB restaurant before I bring, the latest haze craze.
Or this could be your lunch beer with a nice like Reuben or
3.3, easy money.
patty melt.
Yeah. I'm glad that these types of beers exist, because without it, right, you're getting you're gonna see the lager. You might see the Kolsch, and you might see a cream ale here and there. All under
cream ale.
You never see cream ales. But you're definitely going to see lagers, you're definitely going to see Kolsch's, and they're definitely all going to be 4%-ish.
Yeah. The fact that this is basically a mild and a cream ale are two styles that no one does.
Yeah. So they get respect just on that.
Yeah.
For me, because this will go good any day of the week, any time of day in the week. Yeah.
All right. That'll do it. Cheers.
Cheers.